This whole issue of Christian genocide and what we face is actually contrived, because the easy way is to form state police and local police and let the people secure themselves. But no, they have refused to do this. And there's a reason. And if you look back into history, it's a bit sinister, because when we look back, we realize that the last time that a Western nation threatened invasion and actually invaded, and we were colonized, or Lagos was colonized, was 1861, which was related to Madam Tinubu, the great-great-grandmother of the current president. She had she had some puppet kings in Lagos for, about 3 or 4. While she was empowered with weapons in her slave trade, she became the most powerful person. Then eventually the British decided to change and went for colonization, and she became the enemy. That's what we're finding now. So you can see a lot of circles which are not really coincidences that are repeating. History always repeats itself. If you look at what happened after that colonization, and even before we go after the colonization, white people even coming down to Africa, if you remember, the British escalated the mass exportation of African slaves with what they call the Jesus boat. This was a boat commanded by Hawkins, and that was when we really now had the mass production of slaves on American plantations. So you come in with Jesus boat, and even before then you realize that even the Christians never named Jesus Jesus, it was Jesus. But they come in here, they see that the largest indigenous African group's main deity was Eshu. Whether they're related or not, but they followed all that. Then when they took too many Africans to America and it began to choke them, they ignored the Haiti Revolution, which actually informed them that they can't continue. And they now used Quakers and co to claim that they were abolishing slavery, which now turned into colonization. And the indoctrination of indigenous Africans, where we now lost our identity. We had groups, now you had the Yorubas and Igbos, the two largest indigenous African groups. But the smaller groups in the Middle Belt, who are indigenous African civilization, for them to protect themselves against the Muslims also coming, the Afro-Asians also coming, that's where that's where they now identified as Christians, and that's where this is what is, about when you talk about Christian genocide. It's these indigenous Africans who are two small groups to identify, so they called it a Christian genocide. But the most important thing actually is that if you look back, you realize that colonization came to an end with the help of the USSR, and the West never forgive the the USSR. So what did they do? They used Islamists, Sunni Islamists, to bankrupt Russia and bring an end to the USSR. And those Muslims found their way from Afghanistan into Iraq, into Egypt, into Libya, until they got into Nigeria. And what it appears is that they're trying to reverse the freedom of colonization, which the Russians brought about. Now, specifically, we know that in 2014, the West worked with some politicians. Those politicians have since come out to say they imported Islamists to destabilize Nigeria, the Chibok girls, to embarrass President Jonathan out of power. Now they've now come to that full circle where the West that backed APC and the terrorists into power are now calling out Christian genocide. And one begins to wonder that wasn't this the plan all along? Didn't they just use, like how they used Madam Tinubu and empowered her with guns and co to push the morality of slavery? They always knew that they would turn back and use this issue. But the main thing, whether it's a plan or not, is this. And this, even without the Islamist, is why can't we be allowed to protect ourselves and self-determine our culture, our security, our economics within a confederate or a loose federation? And the reason, because if you look at America, for example, how did it come about granting people guns, rights to bear arms? Is to protect their democracy, because they always knew that a foreign power could come and take that democracy. If America and Britain believed that it was, put the lives of their citizens among some savage chiefs at the capital, they would be in trouble. But they allowed the police to decide. From the federal, you have state, you have local government, you have municipal police. Now, that is what Nigeria requires. If we put aside the threat of genocide or or invasion, even though I still doubt whether that will stop America, because the West right now is going down, and they are they're grappling at straws. They tried China. They couldn't take over China. They couldn't take over India. They've tried Russia. They've been beat back. Brazil is there. So the only hope of them being able to compete or stop the rise of countries like China, India, and all other Asian populations that are regaining their population and their market force is to attack Nigeria. So even if we do that, there's still that doubt whether or not they will still not come together. But the point is this: if our people are well armed. But another problem is that our political class are also scared that if they arm the people will turn against it. They will not be able to rig elections again. And that's a big problem for them. And also, what we have had throughout since, for 400 or 500 years now, is they put us in fear. They are ruled, there are two ways you can rule a people: either fear of hell, of death, of violent death, or heaven. The best. Now, they have not been able to provide us like an abundance for all, like what Afenifere says, where you have free education, free health, a house over every head, a railway in every local government. If they had done that, then they would be confident that the citizens will rise, they will be patriotic. You just don't call patriotic. You can't expect people to be patriotic if you have not tried to resolve their issues and benefits. So these are all issues that have to be examined with regards to Donald Trump's threat of invasion. It's not only Donald Trump. Don't let's make it personal. It's not personal. It's what the West has to do now. That's why they also accused South Africa of genocide. They have to come in. If they don't come into Africa, then they've lost.